Sorry for the delay there, but hello and welcome to the post-match show. I'm Diyar, joined by Adrian and various other Palace fans to talk about our draw against West Ham in the Premier League. If you're watching this on replay, make sure to leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on future content. But Adrian, I just want to quickly get into that game. So 1-0 against West Ham away from home. What's your thoughts on the game?
I think we should have had more. I think we've done enough to have more. I think we played pretty well. It was just a super goal. Not a keeper in the Premiership would have saved that. But I think we've done enough to win that today.
Yeah, I think in the first half, I'm not too sure about you, but what do you make of our start? It seemed like West Ham were quite narrow, but we were going forward, but we only had one shot on target. We found it quite hard to find chances, and Christian Benteke, of course, found that chance to finish it. But what a goal from him once again, and across from Joe Ward as well. And he seemed like he was on fire. I know we're going to talk about the red card until he got sent off, and really for the last 2 to 3 games.
Yeah. He's been promising this for a while. You know, just the little things he's been doing. He should have had a second goal. Definitely should have had a second goal to that tonight. What can you say? I don't think he should have tried a back heel. If he had tried that, he should have tried to put it off to Eze. Because Eze was out, and that would have been in the back of the net, and maybe would have been a bit more comfortable. I think Benteke's had a good game. He's been promising to score goals. He's been in the right thing. He's not made the right decisions every time, but his first goal, his goal tonight, he went with his head and he scored. The couple of goals he scored game before last, he went with his head for the first one and he hit the back of the net. And it was a great strike for the second against West Brom. So, just give him, I think he will start scoring. Can we appeal the red card? I don't know. Because I thought both yellow cards were very soft.
Yeah, so what's your thoughts on that? So you got a yellow card in the first half for a header. You got a second yellow card in the second half for a header. I honestly can't believe. I'm still lost for words, even though we're talking about after the game, because as far as I know, it is not illegal to go up and win a header. And I haven't seen any players. I'm not too sure if football changed that much, but you can't literally go up directly and come down without using your hand. Your arms are naturally going to flare out. And it's not only Christian Benteke, it's a West Ham player as well. So it made 0 sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, exactly, because in that case, should Haller's goal been disallowed?
Why?
Joel Ward's head was like that.
Oh, no, I think Haller's goal. Yeah, I think your connection is just a bit jumpy. Sorry to cut you off there, but I think Haller's goal, we could have stopped it going into that position in the first place, down the right-hand side. Kufal was way open. We were just way too narrow. But Haller's finish, you're just one of them ones where they love scoring bangers against us. They scored another banging goal, and we just have to firm it. But looking at the second half, we didn't create much going forward, even when Christian Benteke was on the pitch. What do you think changed in the second half that Palace was struggling to go and create chances? I think we only had one shot. One shot in the first half, one shot in the second half.
Yeah. I put it down to the way Roy plays up. He does sit back. And I've got to admit, most of the balls that we've had, haven't been going to the into the space. It's like Joel was on the wing and the ball came inside to where everyone was, rather than go out and make space to draw defenders out to put the ball across. You know, the only time we do it, and what happens? We score a goal. You know, we're not doing enough of that. A couple of times, even out on the left, you know, the ball's coming in narrow rather than going out to the winger to spread the play. I think that's one of the places we lose out because we've got like Van Arnold cross the ball, Zaha can cross the ball, Townsend can cross the ball, and yet they're not making the runs down the side to put these balls in. And you know, it gets all narrow and we lose the ball. And I think that was that was a trick today. That's where we lost out. We kept going inside rather than going out, to the space. So I think that's our problem. And the ball goes back quite a lot as well.
Looking at the next game then against Liverpool, a couple players were arrested today. Would it make any changes to how we potentially approach the game? Do we sit back? And also personnel, you would bring in if you had to bring in anyone?
Look, at the end of the day, I could go, you know, when Liverpool could have won it a few seasons ago and they came to us and we went 3-1 down, we didn't sit back. We attacked them. And I think that's what you've got to do. They're feeling it in defence at the moment. So if we attack them and let the likes of, who do you play? Like Benteke being out, who do you play? Do you go with AU or do you go with Batshuayi?
Who would you go with?
Neither. I know, because, you know, I don't know. I don't class him as a striker. He doesn't hold the ball up well enough for me. Batshuayi, he hasn't done anything this season to warrant a start. So, you know, maybe I'd go one of the youngsters, you know, that Banks or the other young lad, Streeter. They're scoring left, right, and centre down there. But you know, worst case scenario is you have to play Batshuayi because he will hold the ball up if anything. But you know, I would rather have Uber because I don't think they warrant a place.
Yeah, it's going to be hard, but I don't see Roy going with a youngster. But look, Adrian, thank you for coming on. It's a pleasure always speaking to you. But we have John waiting as well. So hopefully after the Liverpool game, we can get a point and we can speak about something more positive because that result, I don't know how to feel about it, especially after all the things that happened in the second half. But thank you.
It wasn't I suppose that is, you know, it was like, was it you guys who asked the question, would you settle for a draw now? And I did say, you know, I'd like to win. But, you know, if we get a draw, then at least it's not a loss.
Yeah.
So,
well, look, thanks for joining me, Adrian. Speak soon.
Yeah, take care, fella. Bye.
Thanks. All right, and now we got John here. John, Palace 1, West Ham 1. Quite an eventful game. Like considering that only both teams only have 2 shots on target, but it doesn't feel like it because so much went on. How do you see the game? What's your thoughts on it?
I thought it was a good game. I think we can be happy with that. Like we maybe shuffled the pack a little bit and West Ham are a team in form. Like you can say we are actually with 5 points over the last 3 games. And I thought we played really well. I think obviously everyone's going to talk about the sending off. It was the joke, like how VAR isn't interfering in that. I just don't know. But you know, if we can take that aside for a second, I thought we played well. Yeah, we sort of went into our shells a little bit at times, but overall we looked good. We looked much more threatening than them, I felt, for most of the game. And I think it's a good point away at West Ham, but we can be a little bit disappointed it wasn't more, which is a great sort of feeling in a way to be in.
Yeah. So in the first half, I thought we played quite decent. I mean, West Ham was sitting back, but we didn't have too many shots on target. But that one shot that we did have on target in the first half was that Christian Benteke chance. But what a header from him! We'll talk about his chance after that, but he had a chance before it. He couldn't quite take it, but the second time he just finished, and that's what you want to see from him because he's got the confidence to hold up to play. But now he's actually scoring goals, and that's exactly what you want from Benteke, and you can't really get any better than that.
Yeah, it was a great goal, and it was a really good cross from Ward as well. So it was, his movement, his sort of aggression, Benteke's aggression, and getting to that ball first, and getting his head and directing it well. I thought it was a real classic, like number 9 goal, and exactly what we want him to be doing, like more. But yeah, it was great. So I thought it was good. I thought it was really sort of. I'm really happy. He's building his confidence after the couple of goals against West Brom and a good performance, not a goal against Spurs. So, which makes what happened later even worse.
Exactly. Well, look, he had another chance. How One Power says Benteke skyballed a one-on-one chance right before half time. Massive opportunity. But you know how I don't know about you, but how I saw that incident, not incident, that mischance, is that it was overconfidence. It's not a bad thing. Of course, he should have finished that, but the previous Benteke, you never know what would happen. He might have took a touch. He might not even took a shot. But the fact that he tried the flick after scoring a goal, it just shows that, you know what, he's heading in the right direction. There is some positivity even out of that crazy miss.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, the best strikers in the world aren't going to score every time they have a shot. The point is they're taking shots, and then they'll score more, because they're taking more shots. So yeah, it would have been good for us, good for the game if he'd have put that away. But yeah, I'm not. I don't think we'd be too annoyed with him for it.
So now let's talk about the second half. Second half, what do you make of it?
So I feel like we, like I said, maybe we got into our shells a little bit. I feel that maybe there's a little bit of overthinking from Roy. I'm not sure, but there was obviously spaces outside for both teams, really. But I felt like we'd maybe overthought the fact that they're like a team of monsters, aren't they? Like West Ham. I think the average height must be like 7 foot or something. And so we were a bit reluctant to cross it in because of that, I think. And so it got quite compressed basically, and so yeah, it made the game, the whole game, not just for us. I think it made the whole game like a bit boxed in.
Yeah, they were a bit narrow, but in the second half, I think there's a comment as well about this from Zach. He says, we need our fullbacks to play wider. No excuse for that amount of uncontested crosses we're letting today. I think he's talking about defensively. But going forward, because they were so narrow, did he expect Palace to play a bit more, have a bit more width? I mean, we did play it out wide, but we didn't really create chances from it.
Yeah, I think we did that wide. I thought PVA in particular got forward a fair amount in the second half and was giving an extra option. But like I said, I think we were maybe a bit reluctant to say whip it in because they're a team of monsters, even though we scored from across in the first half. And likewise on defending, I actually think it was a bit of a plan to compress the box, let them have it a bit outside because they were good. That's the way West Ham play, and we're going to try and sort of be more defensively assured. I don't know if I'm saying it's the right thing to do, but I think that was the idea. I think the thing that could have changed maybe more is just a bit more pace going forward. And just taking the risk in going forward a bit faster, basically playing those forward balls. So always having to find the actual really safe pass, and that's a bit of a risk. And we get on players like Andros Townsend back when he misplaced the pass, but that's the thing. If you're going to take the risk, then sometimes he will. So I don't know. In hindsight, it would have been good to be a bit more aggressive in attack.
So, talking about that incident now, I can't believe it. Let's talk about the first yellow card, Christian Benteke. And then we'll talk about the first yellow card. It was similar to the second one. What I saw, he went out for a header. Of course, his arm is going to be out wide because he's going out for a header. So, I don't know what we actually expect from him. But what do you make of them 2 decisions? I mean, I don't think we can appeal it anymore. We can't appeal it because it was 2 yellow cards. And now you've got a man who was high on confidence. He's not going to play games now because of I can't believe a shocking referee decision. Now, if you're a Premier League ref, you should know how football is played.
Yeah, like completely agree with every word of that. The only like, two things I had, apart from just shambolic decision, is one, even more ashamed because against Liverpool, that extra motivation he would have had because he didn't like have the best sort of time there, and now he's in a bit of form. Like that could have been even better for us. And then the only thing you might say, and like this is not taken away from how shambolic the decision was, is that like maybe once that first yellow card is gone, like if you're a player, you can just have a bit of a think that, okay, I'm getting booked for this. Like it's a joke. I shouldn't be getting booked for this, but I probably shouldn't do exactly the same thing 4 minutes later because.
But
But I'm not. Maybe that's too much to say. But
yeah, but what do you expect? So, I mean, what can Benteke do if he's going for a header? What, just keep his arms right back? He's not going to go up and down. Just like it's very hard to go up and down in a straight line when you're playing competitive football in the Premier League. Of course, your arm's going to be. It's not only Christian Benteke's whose arms are out. West Ham players as well. It's a physical sport. It is expected that you're going to touch our player once jumping up because. You're going for a header. You're not going to be thinking about keeping your arms on the side. You want to make sure you win that header. You want to be competitive. And it takes a competitive edge out of it if you're going to give 2 yellow cards for that.
Yeah, look, I agree with you. I'm just like thinking if there's anything that could have
you're trying to think about ref. Yeah. So looking ahead to the next game against Liverpool, we had a couple players rested today. I think Gareth made a comment as well. He says, evening Gareth. He said, very good team performance, but bold step by Roy to rest Kleiny and Cahill, but Woody and Dutton stepped up. I'll read the rest of the comment in a second. But next game, do you bring them players in? Because Joe Ward, he got an assist today for that Christian Benteke goal. I think it was a brilliant cross into the box. So what do you do if you're Roy Hodgson? Do you bring in Kleiny, who's also been performing, or do you keep it at Ward?
Yeah, I think centre back might be a bit easier. I thought that Cahill was injured. If he's not injured, that's a different thing, and I think we should definitely bring Cahill back. It's a tough one at right back because I think not just the assist. I thought Ward played really well, like all game. He like tucked in, became an extra centre back when required as well, really effectively. But I fear for Liverpool's like their pace going forward, and I would want Klein there. I think for that, I think he's a lot quicker than Ward, and we don't necessarily have the quickest centre back. So I think we need our fullbacks to have that, and so I would probably make that change, but give Ward lots of love and lots of respect, and all the rest of it, and not say that's it for the season.
So who do you play up front in the next game? What do you do if you're after that red card? It hurts, but he's going to be out. You can't appeal it. So who do you put up there? Do you change the formation, play only one up front, or do you still stay with a 4-4-2, or put Michu or someone else?
I think, like, obviously it's a tough one and it's a really unideal situation. I suppose I'd want to know, like, who's looking sharp in training. I think the thing with Ayew is that he was our first choice striker last season for most of last season. He deserved that. He sort of really tailed off after lockdown and into the start of the season. I think because he was tired. I don't know if there's other things going on, if it's confidence or whatever. Now he's had a bit of a rest, basically. So I'd hope that he might be ready to come back and play at the levels he was playing at, say, in the middle of last season. But yeah, it's not great that the options.
Yeah. Well, look, thank you for joining me, John. Chris is waiting next, but hopefully we can go and pick up something against Liverpool. But of course, it's going to be hard facing them.
Definitely. All right, take it easy.
You too. We've got Chris next. Chris, how's it going?
Boom. Yes, my G.
Yeah, it's a bit hard to take that result. I don't know how to feel about it. I need to digest it. But let's start with this. Respect the point, or we deserve a bit more?
Yeah, no. Respect the point all day long. Like, to be honest, like I said it the other week, like we had a couple of toughies coming up. Do you know what I mean? Spurs, West Ham on a good bit of form. So we've come off with 2 draws. I think obviously looking at the game as a whole, first half, like we played well. Do you know what I mean? Like you can't knock that shit. Like we played really, really well. But then obviously the sending off sort of changed things up. West Ham did score a banger. You know what I mean? Like, what else can you do? So I think respect's point at the end of the day.
Yeah. So talk about that first half. We only had that one shot on target from Christian Benteke. Scored a goal, but it was a brilliant cross from Wardy. And would you say that we deserved that at that point? Because West Ham didn't really create many opportunities as well. I mean, we had shots, but not on target. He had one before Benteke, and he scored this one. But he's doing everything right. He's done everything right. And then he goes and gets a red card. I know I mentioned two things, but let's just talk about Benteke as a whole. Once again, a good game, but that goal is going to get, undershadowed by his red card because everyone's going to be talking about that. What did I see? Did I see something different, or was that actually just absolutely done by the referee to give double yellow cards for him heading the ball?
Yeah, no, this is the problem, like with football this season and last season with VAR coming in. And to be honest, it's something that I've been realising for a good couple of seasons now. The referees and everything, they're not up to scratch. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've been thinking about it long and hard for years and years and years, but I just don't see why, like, ex-footballers don't become referees and things, because a lot of our referees, they're not footballing people. They don't understand the game. They don't understand, like, the usual body movements of, like, a little bit of leverage to get up and everything like that to head of the ball. So I think it's pathetic refereeing, but at the same time, like, we've been on a couple of benefits of decisions in the past anyway. So we've got to take them, but seriously, referees just aren't up to scratch. And you see it from Wilf week in, week out. Like, the guy has no toenails or whatnot. I mean, all of these little things go unnoticed. So, yeah, fuming at the referees, but respect to point and respect. I think Benteke played a good game. I think Benteke played well. I think it's a shame he's going to be suspended now, because him, Eze, Wilf and that lot, they were all linking up well. And to be fair, the commentators were giving a lot of praise. And I don't really think the sending off will overshadow his, like, performance as a whole. I really don't.
Yeah.
I think it's bad refereeing.
Yeah. So Simon says Benteke played far better than Haller, deserves a lot of credit for his performance. If you're critical, he should have scored more, but his overall play was excellent. The yellow cards were a joke. But overall, people are talking about Andros Townsend as well. Ryan puts in a comment saying, I thought it was a good performance from Townsend, played amazing today. What do you think of his performance? Of course, there were players rested today. You had Jeffrey Schlupp, Nathaniel Klein, and Gary Cahill from the last game. What do you think of Townsend's performance today? Do you think he's warranted this position?
Yeah, well, look, it was mentioned last week. It was only mentioned the last game. Townsend, is he good enough to start in starting 11? And my response was, away against some of the bigger sides and whatnot, he gives us the energy. He gives us something a little bit more different. So I think this just shows the difference in Palace this year than other years, is that we've got a big squad, a big depth of squad. We're covering positions 2 or 3 players now, whereas previously we were scraping by. People mentioning a few players not on the bench and whatnot, but yeah, Townsend played well. Townsend put in a good shift. So, it's funny because I don't think one Palace fan can, like, I generally don't think we can all agree on what we all think our preferred starting 11 would be. A lot of other teams, you see a base of the team, you see definitely, that's the back four, that's the middle, and they're going to play up top. But with Palace now, we've got so many players and whatnot. You go, Schluppy 1 week, Townsend another week. There's only 2 or 3 that you're going to go, definitely starting.
Yeah, it's a good thing. It's a good thing because we've been calling for depth for a very long time. And there's certain games like this one where I didn't mind Andros starting. Because you would expect crosses into the box for Benteke, which he did score from one, but it's not from Andros. But he didn't have a bad game as well. So it's going to be interesting looking into the next game. But it just tactically, what do you think about our setup? We only had 2 shots on target. And in the second half, what changed? Was it just a Benteke red card that we couldn't really create?
No, I think credit to West Ham on the second half. Like, to be like, I don't know about other Palace fans and I don't know about yourself, but when I was watching the game, like, even though we played well in the first half, it was a performance that us Palace fans were not used to. Like, we had a lot of the ball. And I think in a way, West Ham sort of like gave that to us because Moisey knows when Palace have a lot of the ball, we struggle to, like, break down teams. We're better, like, just counter-attacking, thinking fast, like boom, boom, boom. Like, we had a lot of the ball, so the patient build-up play is something that we're not used to. And then in the second half, he switched things up. He made a substitution, and I think fair play to Moisey, fair play to West Ham. They got a point, but I wouldn't look at the stats and let that overshadow the overall, performance. Like, we're the away team. It's a London derby. We got a point. We had 10 men. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I think we're only about 3 points away from sixth or something like that, and 8 points away from the bottom three. So it's all rosy.
Yeah, for that 3 points, it was only one win, and we got Liverpool next. That's not going to be easy. What do you do if you're Roy? Or do you bring in Kleiny, or because Wood I thought he had a decent game? Do you bring in Jeff, who got rested and came on for the second half? How do you think we should approach it?
I think you bring in Kleiny. You bring in Schluppy. I think you go with Ayew replacing Benteke because he gives you the work rate, and then that's your team. And to be fair, it's Liverpool, so I don't want to hear nothing else. But we are one of Liverpool's bogey teams. You know what I mean? Like Liverpool struggle sometimes. Like, there's always that team in the Premier League. Like, I don't like playing them. You ask Liverpool fans, they hate playing Palace. So it wouldn't surprise me if Palace are 2-0 down and 10 minutes to go, win 3-2 on the weekend. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so it should be an exciting game. But
we've
got some other comments. Yeah, we got some other comments as well saying, Zach says our midfield looked ineffective. We have an option we should be trying out. See, it's hard. Going into the game, just looking at the lineup, I thought if you're going to rest players, then surely it makes sense to rest Maka as well, because he's been playing out there. He's not the youngest player. So what do you think of our midfield today? The machine says Luca is bloody slow. What do you think of them to starting?
I think to be honest, I think one of them might get taken out for the Liverpool game. I think because they are getting on a bit, and it does surprise me. Maka plays each game, week in, week out, but at the same time, there's something about him that makes us tick. Like when you're talking about a midfield two for Palace, like near enough everyone's always saying MacArthur and one other. So there's a reason for that. You know what I mean? Riedewald and MacArthur, Milo and MacArthur, but playing each week, I don't know. Like, I don't know what's going on with James McCarthy. He hasn't been on subs bench for a while.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's injured.
Yeah, he started off the season as well, and he looked pretty decent as well. And no one's really talking. I forgot about him.
Well, that's what I mean. And the geezer, when he was playing centre mid, I quite liked James McCarthy because he was snapping at the heels. He gave us that little bite. You know what I mean? Like, teams are like, oh, okay, yeah, and like he getting in the people's faces. But he's not on the subs bench. Max Meyer's not on the subs bench. The only other player is Joe Riedewald. And to be honest, 18 months ago, 12 months ago, a lot of Palace fans would probably not have him near the starting 11. So it shows how far we have come. And I think, again, same with Guaita, and I mentioned about Butland, every player is raising their performance. So there must be a reason why Macca's in, week out.
Yeah. Michael says he actually put a comment with what Hodgson said about the red card, which I'll read out. Benteke's red card is a ludicrous decision. That's what Hodgson said after the game. These types of decisions are ruining the game. 100% agree with Roy there. And he seemed like he didn't hold back, so I need to watch that press interview after we get off here. Chris Young says it's hard to explain, but MacArthur is so crucial to us. Luca, a club captain or a volatile liability? What do you think?
He had
a good game. He had a good game against Tottenham.
He had a good game. Like, to be fair, like from my captain, if you're playing centre mid, if you're my captain, I want to see like getting in people's faces. I want to see a bit of that dirt. Like, you've got to have someone like that that's going to be up there. So the only thing that does frustrate me is sometimes it is a little bit petulant. Like, if you're doing it to stand up for someone or one of your teammates and whatnot, yeah, sweet, take a booking all day long. If they're going through on goal, take a booking all day long. But if it's something petulant, it's like, come on, Luke, I expect a bit better than you. Do you know what I mean? Like, but he's played well the last couple of games, and I think he's another player. Like, people are going to have to raise their game because, like I said a couple of minutes ago, like I could probably only name about 3 or 4 definite starters week in, week out, and I challenge any other Palace fan to try and do the same because I guarantee you, judging on our performance by next week or the following week, you'll be chopping and changing.
Yeah, which is a good thing in terms of depth.
Yeah.
But look. we'll end the live show here. Thank you everyone for your comments. If you're watching it back on replay, make sure to go and leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on future content. And until next time, up the Palace.